Good evening, Johan Swart again, going on with video number 2. It's episode 2 of the first video of the Boerboel Academy series. This is not the normal Mythbuster, Boerboel Mythbuster series. This is a series in which I'm trying to share my thoughts and my training by the old initial breeders and founders of the SABT on the breed standard of the Boerboel, right? I was trained by the best people and people that everybody refers to now like legends. They were legends and they really knew the breed well and they trained us well. They did not allow you through if they were not happy with you. You would fail and fail and fail and fail again until they saw that you understood what was standing in front of you. Now, I fortunately passed my exams as I was accepted as an appraiser after, I think, about 3 years of training. And it was a proud moment for me to be accepted as a trainer. I did not go on a little week-long course and wrote an exam at the end and received a certificate. We had to do courses, we had to write thesis, we had to write many things and write tough exams and sit with the old breeders, and you could pass everything, and at the end of the day they would still say, no, not yet. You're not yet ready to be an appraiser. And there was no appeal mechanism, there was nothing. Okay, let's get back to the breed standard. As I said, I'm basing this on the breed standards that was utilized by the SABT in their 2001 breeders course, the 2005 breeders course, the IBASA document on the International Boerboel Breed Standard, which was an excellent document, the document that was accepted by KUSA, IBASA, SABT and Boerboel International jointly as the common breed standard for the Boerboel until the SABT walked out and stabbed everybody in the back. Right, so this is the situation and this is what I'm talking about. Right, so I covered in the previous video 4 different aspects in the breed standard that the appraiser should look at before he even puts his hand on paper. The dog must be running around in the ring and he must be able to look at it from the left, from the right, from behind, from the front, and keep the dog in motion. Right. The things that the appraiser should look at is first, is this dog purebred? Does it appear to be purebred on appearance? Genetics, when these breed standards were written, was not available to test, and there's still no reliable Boerboel genetic test to see if it is purebred or not. We simply have to go on appearance of the dog and its puppies, etc., as they are born. Right. It must have a strong and imposing demeanor. It must look strong and imposing to the person looking from the side. It's not a weakling. It's not a crawling dog. It's not a dog with no confidence. It's a strong and imposing presence that dog brings into the ring. Then you can give it a tick on that, right? If the musculature of the dog is poorly developed or you can't see it, sometimes dogs come in that are obese. I send them out of the ring. I say, I'm sorry, I cannot see the musculature of your dog. Put it on a diet and bring it back when I'm here again. And no appraiser should be afraid to do that. If you have a dog that shows no musculature, it's a skeleton, it's really a poorly developed dog. Man, do you really want to add it to the Boerboel gene pool? Right? Because it was bred by an important breeder, or because it belongs to somebody that owes you money, that you owe money to? No. You are there as a professional in that ring. And when you're in the ring as a professional, you've got to act professionally. And if that dog does not show proper musculature, get rid of it. Don't be shy. Tell the breeder or the owner, I am sorry, sir, your dog does not show the proper musculature yet. I suggest that you do something to develop this animal and then bring it back to a next appraisal. Don't be rude. Remember, people feel about their dogs like they feel about children. The animal that you are commenting about in that ring is the child of somebody. And if you tell somebody your child's got funny ears, he's got to be angry at you. Unfortunately, as an appraiser, you've got to tell him your child's feet are crooked. Right? His legs are funny. His ears are totally wrong. And I think he doesn't move well. Right? That's bad news for the owner, for the father and the mother of this little fur baby, right, that they raised and spent so much time on. But it has to be done. They pay you to give your professional opinion about this dog and not to be nice, right? So please stick to what you are there for, right? The fourth thing we've got to look at is the height of the dog, taking balance and conformation into account. Now, balance is, are all the body components well balanced? Are they in relation to each other like it should be in a Boerboel? If you don't know what a proper Boerboel looks like, how can you tell if the legs are too long? Right? There are ways to measure it, and we will get to all those relations that you should know and have in your head very well in one of the following videos. Right? Now we get to the fifth thing. And I had to cut the previous video because it was getting pretty long. Right? Now, what we are looking at the fifth thing, in the fifth instance, is another aspect of balance, right? Balance of body components. Balance of body components, what does that mean? It means, is the head too big? Remember, Boerboels are not supposed to be catfish with 4 legs. They are not supposed to have this huge monster heads. I know there was a president of one of the very important societies that used to say, oh, look at the head. I just want to see a head. A Boerboel is recognizable by its head. It must have a man. No, man, you were breeding catfish, barbels, right? Not Boerboels. Right. Please, please, please. It must be in relation to each other, and it must look like the breed, right? The first thing that you look at to determine balance is you look at the head, and specifically the circumference of the head, and I'll show you how to do that now. You look at the height, and the third thing is you look at the weight of the dog. Now, that's a very old trick that was taught to me by some of the old appraisers, and it was actually Bert Grabe that taught me this. And he said, you know, when you want to see if a dog is in balance and you're in doubt, because sometimes there's just something wrong on this dog and it bothers you as an appraiser and you can't really determine it. What you do is you take a tape measure and right in front of the ears, you measure around the head, right? You take your tape measure, you go around to the other side, there, and let's say you get a measurement of 74 centimeters. And just for argument's sake, I just took a figure now, right? The next thing you do, you measure from here, the top of the withers, right? You measure from here to the ground, right? You measure that height of the dog. And interestingly, it should be pretty close to 74 centimeters. Okay? And if you take this dog and put him on a scale, he should weigh about 74 kilograms. That is a cheat way to see if the dog is in balance or not, but it works. So the circumference of the head in front of the ears, right around the head, you'll be surprised when you measure that how big it is. So if you measure that, for instance, the head, and it's 86 centimeters, right? And the height is 74, and the dog weighs 74 kilos, right? You know that head is too big. It's not in balance. Or if this and that matches and the dog weighs less or more than the ideal weight, you know this dog is not in balance. It also is a way to tell people when their dogs are obese or when they are too thin. Not on puppies though. This is for adult dogs. This is for dogs in around about 2 years. Right? Please don't now say, phone me and send me messages and say, oh, I weighed my puppy and he weighs more than he is tall. Man, don't be stupid. Right. Apply this to adult dogs. Right, the next thing in this whole balance equation and things that we have to look at is the head size. As I already said, you will see the head size when you measure this. Head should not be too big and they should not be too small. Remember, the female dogs will always have a more feminine head and a more feminine look than the male dogs. The male dogs have the real blocky, strong heads, and the female dogs look more feminine. If they do not look more feminine, they also do not meet this breed standard, right? Very important, right? The next thing, and that's something which is also totally over-exaggerated nowadays, is bone. How thick are the legs of this dog? Are they substantive, or does it really look like a whippet? A sight hound that's meant to chase hares. Boerboels can catch hares, man. My male Boerboel is big, but he catches rats. He catches birds that comes into his kennel. He is agile, he's mobile, and he's got thick, really good developed legs. But if they are overdone, right, it is wrong. Right? If they are underdone little sticks, it is wrong. The dog should not have a stick or a tree trunk. It should have a normal, proper leg. Right? The very last thing the appraiser looks at initially, right? Initially, before he starts on the components. Remember, with none of this, I've appraised a single component of the dog. I've been looking at the dog, and this is taken up into one score point, and it's called overall appearance, right? Now, the next thing is, what was that? That was point 5. Point 6 is sexual dimorphism. Does the male dog look like a male dog and the female dog like a female dog? Or if that dog is running around there in the ring, you have problems determining if it's a male or a female. If you have to look at the underside of the dog to see if you see nipples or a penis, man, it is wrong. You must be able to see on the build of the dog if this dog shows sexual dimorphism. We know, and it is a fact, that female dogs that look like male dogs have less puppies and have bigger problems having litters. Right? Have a female dog that looks like a female dog, not like a damn male. And unfortunately, the whole show ring culture is skewing this thing where they want these big, blocky, heavy females that look like male dogs, but the breed standard of the Boerboel says there must be sexual dimorphism, right? Before I step off this, right, there are two more factors which the Boerboel appraiser does not look at this stage. He's going to evaluate it for the duration of this whole appraisal. While this dog is in the ring and running around and doing all the fancy things and showing its teeth and having its balls pulled and all of that, right? What should happen, what he also should be looking at, right, is two things. Number 7, and that is mobility. That will be evaluated over the next half an hour while this dog is in the show ring. There is no way to appraise a dog in 5 minutes. I see the appraisers posting on Facebook, oh, we were so busy, we had 40 dogs. My God, you cheated 40 dog owners. You did not appraise 40 dogs, right? The last thing you should look at is temperament. Right, temperament. The temperament of the dog in that period of time will show up well if you touch the dog, if the owner has to handle the dog, if the dog runs past other dogs, if the dog runs past members of the public, you approach the dog, you ask the owner to stop with the dog, to run with the dog. It will show obedience, it will show temperament. Now these people, it's just the opening act. This is the first aspects that the appraiser should look at before he takes his clipboard and before he starts writing. Okay, now for those of you that are interested, please remember my book. It's called The Boerboel, The Revision of the Origins and the History of the Breed, because you cannot understand this if you do not understand the breed. If you are interested in this book, please send me an email to boerboelbook@gmail.com. Very simple address, boerboelbook@gmail.com. If you want to be reminded when there are any new YouTube videos coming out from here, there's a lot. I've got to work through the whole breed standard, right? Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Then you will be automatically reminded when there are new videos. Secondly, please like this video if you like it. If you have any comments on it, post comments. So far I've received very positive comments on the whole Mythbuster series, and a lot of stunned silence as well of people that I thought would comment, but they're probably thinking, oh my God, you know what? I really didn't think about it that way, but logic prevails. Yes, I have to revise the way that I've been doing things. So let's work through this whole breed standard. It's not my breed standard, it's not the IBASA breed standard, it's not the SABT breed standard. This is the breed standard determined by logic. This is the breed standard of this breed that has been applied from the word go. And let's become better breeders, better appraisers, better owners of the Boerboel. I thank you all.